Have you ever really stopped to think about how you can think, move, and feel all at the same time? Well, today we're going to dive into your body's incredible internal network. This is the system that controls and coordinates every single thing you do, from a sudden gasp of surprise to figuring out a tricky puzzle. So let's get right into it.
Okay, let's start with something I'm pretty sure we've all experienced. You're in the kitchen, maybe you're cooking, you reach for something, and bam, you touch a scorching hot pan. Your hand just flies back, almost on its own, a split second before your brain even registers the pain. How in the world does that happen? Well, that incredible speed, it isn't magic. It's a reflex action. You can think of it as your body's built-in lightning-fast emergency system. It's designed to protect you by acting first and thinking later. And this one simple protective move is the perfect way to understand the much bigger world of control and coordination. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about, control and coordination. It's the body's master control system, making sure all the different parts, your muscles, your organs, everything, work together in perfect harmony. It's all about producing the right response to any given situation, or what we call a stimulus. So how does that instant hot pan reaction actually work? To figure that out, we're going to trace the journey of that signal. We're going to follow the exact emergency pathway it takes, a route known as the reflex arc. Okay, so it all kicks off with a trigger. In science, we call this a stimulus. And really, it's just any change in your environment that your body can pick up on. A loud noise, a bright light, or in our hot pan example, that intense heat. But how does your body even know about the heat? Well, that's where your receptors come in. These are super specialized cells that act like tiny little sensors all over your body. Your skin, for example, is just packed with thermoreceptors, which are built to do one job and one job only, detect changes in temperature. So you've got the stimulus, which is the heat, and you've got the receptor that detects it. And all of that leads to the final step, the response. The response is simply the action your body takes. So yanking your hand away from that burning pan, that is the crucial protective response. So this right here maps out that entire emergency route. A sensory neuron zaps a danger message, but, and this is the key part, it doesn't go all the way to the brain. Nope, it goes straight to the spinal cord, which acts like a local dispatcher. The spinal cord immediately processes the threat and sends back a move it command through a motor neuron. That command tells your arm muscle to contract and you pull your hand away. Bypassing the brain is the secret to its incredible speed. And this table really shows you what makes a reflex so unique. You can't control it, right? It just happens. That's unlike a voluntary action, like deciding to walk or write. And even though your brain handles other things you can't control, like your heartbeat, which we call involuntary actions, a reflex is different because it's managed by the spinal cord. It's all about saving those precious milliseconds when it really counts. Okay, so we've talked about the pathway, but what's actually carrying these super fast messages? Well, let's zoom in a bit and meet the messenger itself, the mighty neuron. And here it is. This is a neuron. It's the fundamental building block of your entire nervous system. Probably the best way to think of it is as a living biological wire, perfectly designed to carry electrical signals from one part of your body to another at, incredible speeds. Now, the information comes in on one end, through these little branch-like structures called dendrites. They're basically the antennas of the cell, constantly listening for and picking up incoming signals from other neurons or from those receptors we talked about. Once that message is received, it gets sent down this long, single fiber called the axon. The axon is the transmission cable. It carries that electrical impulse, sometimes over pretty long distances, all the way to its destination. And this is where things get really, really cool. Neurons don't actually touch each other. There's a microscopic gap between them called a synapse. So to get across this gap, the electrical signal gets converted into a chemical signal. These chemicals literally float across the gap and trigger a new electrical signal in the next neuron. It's this beautiful, intricate relay race happening millions of times a second. All right, so we've met the messengers, the neurons. Now let's go visit the main headquarters. While the spinal cord is the expert on reflexes, almost everything else, every thought, every decision, every feeling is processed in the body's ultimate command center, the brain. Now, we can simplify this incredibly complex organ down to three main regions: the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. And as you can see, each one has its own specific jobs, but they all work together seamlessly to make you, well, you. First up is the forebrain, which is the biggest and most complex part. You can just think of it as the CEO of your body. This is where all the high-level stuff happens: thinking, learning, memory, personality, and all your conscious movements. It's actually the part of your brain that's listening to and processing this right now.
Then we've got the midbrain. This acts as a super important connection point, kind of like a central switchboard that links the forebrain and the hindbrain together. It also controls some really important reflexes, like how your head and eyes just automatically turn towards a sudden noise or a flash of light.
And finally, there's the hindbrain. You can think of this as your body's life support system. Its different parts, like the cerebellum and the medulla, handle all the absolutely vital functions that keep you alive without you ever having to think about them. We're talking balance, breathing, your heartbeat, and even digestion. So, we've seen how the nervous system works like a high-speed internet for your body. But what about the parts of you that aren't directly wired in? Let's zoom out to see the bigger picture and meet the body's second equally vital communication system.
See, here's the thing about the nervous system. It's incredibly fast, it's incredibly efficient, but its nerve cells don't actually connect to every single cell in your body. It's like a highway system. It gets you to all the major cities for sure, but it doesn't go down every single side street. So how does the body send messages to all those other cells?
The answer is the endocrine system. And here's the best way to think about it. If the nervous system is like sending an instant message, it's super fast, direct, and the effect is over quickly, then the endocrine system is like sending a company-wide email. It uses chemical messengers called hormones that travel through the bloodstream. It's slower, but it delivers widespread, long-lasting instructions to pretty much every cell. It handles big picture stuff like growth and metabolism, working hand in hand with the nervous system for total body control. So we've toured the entire system, from a simple reflex arc all the way up to the brain's complex command center. This amazing network of nerves and chemicals controls everything we think, feel, and do. Which leaves us with one last, kind of huge question. We know the brain is the master controller of it all, but what controls the brain? That's a question that sort of bridges biology and philosophy, and it's definitely something to think about.